Mic test, mic test. Hello. Yes, for those of you who've seen my videos and all that, you kind of know what time it is, right? It's just time for me to go through more accounting questions. Yay! So, I mean, it's almost time, so I shall just start right now. Right. Hello. Hopefully you guys have had a good week or decent week, right? Uh, and I shall just start this off with the question we're tackling today. So, well, the usual, right? When we read a question, for me, I like to start with the actual requirements first. So, let's take a look at it, shall we? Um, so, what they want from us is calculate rate of trade receivables turnover, right? For the years ended 30th June 2024 and 30th June 2025, and leave the answers in two decimal places. Okay, so a little explanation on what trade receivables turnover is. Essentially, it means how many times um, are your sales, credit sales, compared to the average amount people owe you, right? Your customers owe you. So what does this mean? So it's like a ratio, right? So for those of you who learn a bit of math, essentially it is your credit sales, right, to your average, customer debt, customer owing. So that's what they mean by trade receivables, right? So okay, now we know what they want us to do, right? And the formula is listed in the definition. Okay. So what we do is we read the question because the question will give us the information that we need to find the answer itself, right? So let's see. This person owns a business, so it's a sole proprietorship, meaning one boss, right? If that person goes, the company goes with that person, right? Financial year end 30th June. So now we know why they said for the years ended 30th June 2024 and 2025, right? Okay, this business only makes credit sales. So this simplifies things for us. Why? Because we don't need to calculate what is their actual credit sales because all of their sales are credit sales, right? So we can take that figure that they gave us as it is. And then they allow payment term of 25 days. This will be important later on, not right now, right? So we can write as KIV, right? And then the rest of the information is essentially what we need for answering part A at least, right? Part A. Yeah, all these numbers. I'm not gonna highlight them. So now then, oopsie. Let me see if I can change the. Oh, okay. I can select different colors. I want to find one that uh isn't too bad on contrast. Let me see. Okay, this is fine. Right. So we need to calculate um for 2024 first, right? So what we do is we take the sales revenue, which is also the same as total credit sales because everything is made in credit sales for this business, right? So we write 100,000 and 280, right? Divided by, I'm gonna use and then the denominator would be average trade receivables, right? So how do you get the average? You take the starting, meaning the trade receivables at the start, right? And add the trade receivables at the end. Oh, sorry, why is the volume so? Why is it clipping like this? Okay, hold on. Let me fix the volume first. Sorry about that. Maybe I decrease it slightly. Is this better? Hopefully. Uh, right about here. I hope. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. This might be too soft. About here. Okay, right. Sorry about the interruption. Okay, so as we're saying, trade receivables. How do we find the average, right? So we take the two values that I've taken in purple. I'm gonna write in purple as well. So a little bit color coded. So if I'm not sure about people with color blindness. I'm sorry. Um, but I'll try my best. Okay. So 8980 divided by 2. Okay, so why do we do this, right? So we take the trade receivables at the start of the year, right? Which is at the start of the year, it will be 1st July 2023, which is also the same value as 30th June 2023, by the way. Um, because the number will be carried down. So that difference of 1 day isn't significant in terms of this sort of permanent accounts, right? So that's why we can just do that. And then the rest will be done by calculator. So it's better if you actually calculate out the values. So for example, 100,000 to 80 divided by, oh dear, where did my calculator go? Hold on. Okay. 7850 plus 8980, right? Which gives you 16,830 divided by 2, right? And then the rest, I think you can just 100,000 to 80 divided by 16,830 divided by 2 in brackets. So it's 11.916 something something something, right? And then the answer, the question wants you to, round it off to 2 decimal places. So it's 11.92, right? And then this is 11.92, the answer. So usually for exams, it's also better if you write out the formula. The formula would be credit sales divided by average trade receivables. Okay. If I'm not wrong, that is the formula. If your school or institution wants you to write a different formula, you follow that one and also follow how they calculate. Because sometimes they could use ending trade receivables as the denominator. Some of them use average, like what I do, right? So it's best if you check. Sorry, it's best if you check with the examination, board on what they want, right? If you're taking the exams, if you're learning it just for knowledge sake, then generally I think average might be better, right? Okay, then the same thing can be done for okay. The same thing can be done for the 2025. Yep. So I'm gonna use a different color again, right? Okay. I'm just gonna go down the color list. Hopefully, it looks a bit similar. Let me see if I can change it. This one? Hopefully. Still looks similar. Oh dear. Okay, let me just use blue then. Blue? Yeah, okay. It's still a no. Oh, come on. Okay, this one, cyan. Okay, that's fine, hopefully. So 144,630. And then divided by. Okay, time to use a different color. Oh, sorry, some technical issues here. Okay, and then I'm gonna use green, dark green. Hopefully it's fine. Okay, yep. So the average trade receivables for 2025 would be 8980 plus 10690, the whole thing divided by 2, right? So 8980 plus 10690 divided by 2. So same formula, just different numbers plugged in, right? So this time around, I'm not gonna write out everything, but it's always good practice to do so, right? Because the rationale is that if you make a mistake during the calculation, the examiners can see it, right? And then they'll know which part you got wrong, right? And if the marks are allocated by steps, right, working steps, then you get some marks, right? Even PT marks sometimes. So it's always best if you write out everything, right? However, if you're in a rush, like this is like the last question and you can't finish in time, or at least that's what you think, then it's better to skip steps and essentially attempt the entire paper. So priority is you attempt the entire paper, right? Then the next priority is write out everything like in your thought process, right? In terms of working, right? Don't write all your logic steps. So it's just your working, because that's what the marks are allocated for. So yeah, I think these are the two answers. Let me check. Hopefully I got them right here. Yep, okay. So that is the correct answer. So we can move on, right? Let's look at part B. So they want us to comment on the quality of management. So this is a bit of analysis, right? A little bit of thinking required of their trade receivables over the 2 years, right? And use the information provided, which is over here. I drew an arrow. Okay, you guys can see it. And also your answer in A. Okay, so we gotta use what we got up here. So oh my, what happened? Okay. Let's see if I can. Okay, seems like I cannot. Okay, I'm just gonna copy it over then. So 11.92, and then the other one is 14.71. Okay. Right. So, all right. So what does this mean? Right. What does these two numbers actually mean? It means that you had enough sales to, okay, so for example, this is 2024, right? This is 2025. In 2024, you have enough sales to, essentially, how do I say? I'll say. You flip your trade receivables 11 times over or 12 times over, right? What does this mean? You earned 11 or 12 times more than what people owe you, right? Which is a pretty good sign, yes. And the fact that it increased, right, could mean good things, but you need to look at the most important part, which is actually the average trade receivables. Oh, what happened? Okay, so your average trade receivables is important. Okay, so why is that? If your denominator has decreased across the year, right? So for example, if your average trade receivables actually drop from 2024 to 2025 compared to 2025, it means that the number of that number above is not as significant, right? So what do I mean by that? Take, for example, we just take a very simplified case, right? Credit sales was 100, right? And average trade receivable was 10. So this will be 10 times, right? However, what if your credit sales dropped by a little bit, right? 80. However, your trade receivables dropped more, right? Um, this could mean a good thing as well. Okay, so you need to exercise a little bit of judgment, right? So this would still have increased. So this is 16 times if I'm not wrong, right? So what does a decrease in trade receivable means? It actually means that people are paying you more frequently because less people are owing you money, right? So it's a bit of you know, a little bit of logic involved, right? The number of times increased. Generally, it means a good thing, right? However, if your denominator is too low, it also means that um, you could be selling a bit more, right? Could mean a little bit of inefficiency in terms of your number of sales, right? Either you're not selling enough or you're not making enough credit sales, right? Um, Meaning that there are potential customers out there, but maybe your policies are too strict or something that forces them to, pay up very early, right? Which could turn away potential customers. So all these are different things that you can think about, right? But I mean, in this case, it's exams. So I do believe for now, you can just take it that in general, higher what's that called? Higher turnover equals to better, right? So in this sort of questions, how do you tackle them? First of all, you state what happened, right? So from 2024, 2025, right? That crossover period. In terms of turnover, trade receivable turnover, it increased, right? From what amount to what amount? From 11.92, almost 12%. Almost 12 times, not 12%, sorry, to 14.71, almost 15 times, right? So generally, this means that uh, more credit sales or less owings, meaning more liquidity. Okay, and of course, when we are dealing with this sort of analysis, we always need to see a different variable to actually determine. Because as you can see, here are two variables, right? So sometimes with another tool, we could actually determine which one exactly it is, right? So now we look at trade receivables collection period. So what does this mean? As you can see, the unit is in days, right? This means on average, uh, how long does it take for your customers to pay you, right? How long do the people who owe you money take to actually give you your money back, right? So this is average, right? Of course, there will be people who don't pay you at all. So yeah, um, but as you can see, right, there was a decrease. So what does this mean? People are paying you more frequently, right, within a shorter period of time. So this is trade receivable days. Okay, same header, 2024 to 2025, decreased from when to when from sorry from how much to how much 30.63 days to uh 24 24.82 days. Sorry about that. 24.82 days. Right. So what does this mean? It means that um actually it means less owings, right? Because people are paying you more frequently within a shorter period of time, so more liquidity. Okay? So this is how I would answer this sort of questions where they ask you to comment. Firstly, you see what the data is. So you could just quote the data. Like you can just quote this and you can quote this, right? In your answer. But you need to explain what that means. So the best bet is actually follow the formula. So okay, so for if you know the formula for trade receivables collection, then you can explain using that formula, right? For me, right now I'm not gonna touch on that. I'm just gonna say number of days decreased, meaning people are returning your money um, more quickly than before, right? Which results in lesser owings, right? Which also means that you have more liquidity as a whole, meaning you have more liquid assets, either in the form of cash or very short-term deposits, something they can quickly convert to cash, right? To actually pay off your debts, right? For the short term. Okay, then the next question would be part C, right? Suggest 3 actions that might have helped their business to have more efficient collection from trade receivables. Okay, so this one I did go through in the past, but I can just throw out a few ideas, right? So, more efficient collection, meaning you entice them, right? You entice, um, or carrot and stick model, you punish those who, you know, pay you later than stipulated, right? So, when we look at oh yeah, payment terms. Okay. Payment terms of 25 days. Oh yeah, okay. Then we can also write in the comments. I almost forgot about this, but if we look at the question again, right? Remember I said KIV, payment term of 25 days. So these two payment terms of 25 days. So initially, people weren't actually paying according to the policy, right? People are paying later than what the company says is acceptable to them, right? And then in 2025, it actually became a lot better. It became within the acceptable range, which is a good sign, right? That the whatever policy that the company has implemented is working, right? So they didn't state what is here, what the policy was, but part C wants you to kind of like guess, you know. So the first one will be under the enticing. I'll just gonna call it E, right? Enticing or rewarding customers for paying up earlier would be cash discounts or payment discounts. Okay, so what does this mean? Um, so sometimes you can see something like 215. If you're working out there, you see something like this, like 2/15. It means that um within 15 days, so this is number of days, and this is the percent. So within 15 days, if you pay up, you get a 2% discount off whatever you have owed, right? So you just need to pay 2% less. So 98% of what you actually owed to the company. So this is what they mean by a payment discount, right? So this actually motivates people to pay earlier, right? Sometimes it's like 5 days, 10 days. Number of days can change, number of percentage can change, depends on what the company is willing to accept, right? As acceptable expense, I'll say. Yeah. So that is that, right? I'm not gonna write out the full answer, but I'm just gonna explain what the mechanics is, right? You can phrase it on your own in the exam itself, right? The next one will also be enticing. Well, actually, let me think. Might be punishing. You have a stricter AR team, right? So you train them. You train them essentially to be more strict with enforcing the policy. So they become more persistent, right, in calling up their customers, to ask for them to pay, right? You also have maybe more efficient tracking, all that stuff, right, to make sure that they pay on time, right? To I would say to remind customers to pay, right? So this has a downside. Downside is customers might actually choose to abandon you completely, right? Might not return if you're too strict with your policies, because is in the real world things are very complicated, right? And a lot of business relations, they are built on trust, built on the idea of mutual benefits, right? So if you keep pushing your opposing party to help you, to get what you want at their disadvantage, at their cost, they wouldn't want to work with you anymore, right? So, your relations might get strained and all that stuff. So, might not return, strain relations. So this sort of things will happen, right? If you use punishments, right? Enticing will also have the same effect if you have a too lenient um policy, right? Like for example, oh yeah, I'll give you a 30% discount if you pay within 15 days. You're essentially losing out yourself, right? Um so it is a balance, I would say. You need to use both policies effectively and control them, making sure that they don't um negatively affect either you or whoever your customers are. So it's a fine balance in real life. Yes. The next kind of I wouldn't really call it punishment. No, not what I call the first one punishment. Uh, maybe instead of punishment, it's more of like entice reward. The other one would be mm, let's see, what should I call this? Oh no, I kind of at a loss of words here. Hmm. Let me think. Enticing. Enticing should be fine. Rewarding them. Next one wouldn't be called punishing. I'll say maybe persuasion. I'll call this persuasion. It still starts with P. You know what? It's fine. uh. Okay. Right. So what was I thinking for this? More efficient collection. So it's either faster or more amount, right? Uh, oh yeah, okay. The next one would be credit limit. So what does this mean? Well, if you do have a credit card, right, the credit card company will tell you what your limit is, right? The maximum amount that you can spend a month. Any more than that, you have to either go through, a you need to tell them, they need to approve, right? Or they'll straight up just not allow you to do it, right? Same thing with companies, right? There is a certain amount that you're willing to allow this customer to owe you, right? Before you say no, you can't make this sale to them on credit anymore, right? Because you owe me too much, right? So for example, if you're selling, let's see what you're selling. Okay, imagine you are selling computers or phones, right? If this person keeps coming to you and buying something, right, and doesn't pay up, and like the amount he owes you just keeps increasing, do you think you keep selling to him uh on credit? No, you just tell him, yeah, you pay by cash right now. I'm not willing to sell. I'm not willing to let you owe me more, right? It's like a protection mechanism, right? So credit limit becomes more lenient. Oh dear, what happened to my spelling? Okay. Uh for more loyal customers, like for more adherent customers. So what does this mean? If people keep paying you on time, right, you're more willing to give them a higher limit, right? Allow them to owe you slightly more so they can purchase more from you. But you know that they'll pay you back. And for them it's beneficial. Why? Because um they get to buy more, right? So sometimes when they buy more from you, you're also willing to give them a little more discount and all that stuff, right? So it's essentially a win-win for both parties. Again, the downside to this would be you need to know you, you need to know who to trust, right? So this is difficult in even in a real business sense, right? So that's how I would answer this question, right? Next is part D. Oh my, we're actually going through this pretty quickly. Okay, part D. Explain importance of management of trade receivables in relation to liquidity position of a business. Okay, so I've explained before what liquidity means. Essentially what it means is uh, how much can you pay as a business, right? Um, Within a short period of time. So usually this is 3 months, right? It can change depending on how strapped for cash you are, right? Sometimes you would say 1 month, right? But usually it's 3 months or 6 months. It won't last more than that, technically, most of the time, right? So that is the layman terms. If you want the technical terms, you can feel free to Google it. Uh, for me, I don't like dealing with technical terms too much, right? Um, this is more of a for you to understand what it is. So, right. Next is liquidity. Right. So why is managing this important? So when your customers, right, who owe you, actually we'll call them debtors instead of customers, because customers could be people who just buy from you only, right? So we call them debtors, right? Uh, Pay up sooner, right? Means more money on hand, right? Or in bank, right? What does this mean? This means that um, you could make payments to your creditors. Gets paid. Uh, Things like your bills get get paid. You know, get paid off. What else? What else? Your loan interest. You know, your interest payments, right? And then after you have made all those payments, right? If you have if excess, you invest to earn more. Okay. And this sort of investments sometimes, well, most of the times is not to do with volatile stocks, right? Things like cryptocurrency, things like actual stock exchange. Usually, companies wouldn't bank a lot on those, right? The reasoning is very simple. Uh, they don't want to lose their amount, right? Whatever excess they have, usually investing would be investing in themselves, right? Getting better equipment, more efficient equipment, hiring better staff, paying for staff training, things that allow them to operate more efficiently and more reliably, right? So something like that. Usually, when they talk about investing, it's not really the same sense of investing as you and I, right? So yeah, that is what they mean by investments. So hopefully it clears a little bit up in that front, right? So essentially, this is how businesses function, right? You want money to come in fast, but you also want money to leave slightly less quickly, right? So you always have a little bit of excess on hand for you to, in case of emergencies, right? All that stuff. So, and yeah, this essentially keeps your business healthy, right? You have enough funds to deal with any emergencies. You pay off all your debts that are, due, right? Everything that is due, you pay so that you don't get into more trouble in the future where, interest pile up, people give you fines, all that stuff, right? Or you lose out on your suppliers because you didn't pay them in time and they don't want to work with you anymore, right? So this sort of things, right? And then after you settle all those payments, if you have excess, you can either keep it as more emergency funds, right? Or you can um you know use it for improving your business, right? To improve your business, to maybe hold events, right? Charity events, or even hold your company outings, right? Things that provide more welfare to your staff, so they're happier. They don't want to leave your company, right? Things like that. So all these sort of considerations are there, right? And that's why having more money on hand uh, is good, basically. But too much money, again, I'll need to reiterate this, right? Uh, there's a reason why they say investing, right? Having too much on hand just means that you're not using it efficiently. Why? Because it's just sitting there. If it's on hand, your interest rate is zero. If it's in bank, your interest rate is less than 1%. It's still not worth it. Inflation is just gonna outpace, your whatever interest you've earned. So, it's always best to have some emergency funds, but not too much, right? Because then you're just losing money out to due to inflation, right? So, and yeah, that is another lesson done. Yippee! Right? Yeah. Okay. That's the end of the lesson. All right. I'll stay around for a little bit more to see if there are any questions out there. Right. Let me just check. Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions. Right. If there's something that you don't understand, right, feel free to voice it out. Or oh my, what happened to? Yeah. So again, I'll just say this while I check for questions and all that stuff. It's perfectly fine to not understand something the first time or not get an explanation at all, right? It just means that the explanation didn't suit you, right? And it means that um, you need to find an explanation that you gel more with, right? And with regards to that, you can either look for, your mentor, or you can maybe drop by one of my streams and say and ask, right? Oh, why is my oh dear, I forgot. Okay. Hold on, I need to settle something. Maybe. Okay, that's settled. My bad. Right. So yeah, if explanation doesn't, you don't get it, it's fine, right? Um, but I think if you're serious about learning this subject, it's always good to practice more, right? Practice makes, I wouldn't say perfect. No, not really a something like perfect in this sort of field, right? Um, but practice makes you more capable of discerning certain things, right? More capable of answering questions. Uh, Again, whether or not it's correct depends on how you practice, right? If you practice blindly and you just get all the answers wrong without understanding why you got it wrong, you're still gonna get it wrong, right? Um, but if you take the time to review, right, and then make corrections, uh, in some way remind yourself to not make the same mistake again, then that is fine, right? You're learning. And other than that, let's see. Okay, we still have a few minutes, so maybe add on a few more things, right? I think starting from next week, I shall shift the teaching streams to Monday and Friday instead, right? The same time, but due to my schedule changing, I need to change this stream schedule as well. So I'll update it accordingly on my sites, right? Um, but the format and the style shouldn't change, right? And starting, I think 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, next week, the week after, yeah, the week after next, right? Um, I'll be doing study with me streams, so do look out for those, I guess. You'll just see me sitting there being silent with some background music. Occasionally I'll check in with chat if there's any. But there's no pressure to do that. Don't pressure yourself to chat if you don't want to. You can just feel free to, stay here uh and just enjoy the vibes, I guess. I'm not sure. Um Other than that, there's not really much I want to say here, other than the change in schedule. Again, gaming streams wise, it's very, I would say, not set. I don't plan to have gaming streams. It's just when I really feel like it, right? Then I hold those, right? So it really depends on my schedule, the schedule of my friends, if they're willing to play, this sort of things. So yeah, it all depends, right? But whenever I feel like it, I will, right? So you guys can see how bad I am at games, right? Feel free to uh you know well, not sure really. Not much expectations for viewers, to be honest. Just don't be rude in chat. That's all, right? Other than that, okay, it's almost time. Let me check if there's any last minute questions. No, no. Okay, right. I think it's okay if I end it here. Um, Thank you very much for making it to the end of the stream and also the VOD. Right. I'll see you guys some other time. Thank you. Bye bye.